Before starting this course on career counseling, it is extremely important to understand why you should take your career choice seriously. In this video, we will help you understand the importance of making the right career choice for yourself. So, why is your career choice so important? It is important because it determines a lot of things in your life, including number 1, quality of life. Your career choice plays a huge role in deciding where you live, how flexible your life is, and the kinds of things you are able to do in your free time. Number 2, identity. Ask any elder person about their career and they will tell you about it as a part of their identity. They'll say something like, I am a journalist, instead of, I report news. Notice how everybody asks you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And not, what do you want to do when you grow up? This shows that your career choice shapes your identity. Number 3, impact. Every human life touches thousands of other lives in so many different ways. If you select any 60-year-old person who is about to retire, take a time machine, find him as an infant, throw that infant into trash, and then come back to the present day, you'll find that a countless number of things around you have changed. So whatever career you choose, the world will be affected by it. Anything that determines your quality of life, your identity, and the impact that you make should be taken very seriously. And that includes your career choice also. So we hope that this short video could help you understand the importance of making the right career choice. Having done that, we will now move forward to start our career counseling course. We are pretty excited and we hope you are too. So, let's begin. See you.
गुड इवनिंग एवरीबॉडी, वेलकम टू डे 30। एक महीना कंप्लीट हो गया है। आज पार्टी कौन देगा वो भी डिस्कस करेंगे। फर्स्टली एवरीबॉडी वेलकम टू डे 30 ऑफ प्रोबोनोज लाइव पॉडकास्ट एंड ऑफ कोर्स वी हैव मिस्टर सेन, आदित्य, समर भट्टाचार्य सर एंड ऑफ कोर्स साइबल विश्वास सर। अभी कुछ टेक्निकल रीज़न की वजह से ही कुड नॉट जॉइन अस येट, लेकिन वी एक्सपेक्ट हिम टू जॉइन इन सून डेफिनेटली। सो गाइज, तब तक ऑब्वियसली समर सर का हमने ऑलरेडी अपने पॉडकास्ट सुना होगा। ही इज़ द असिस्टेंट वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ कॉग्निजेंट टेक्नोलॉजीज़ एंड ही इज़ ऑल्सो बीन इन द IT इंडस्ट्री फॉर ओवर 30 years नाउ। तो गाइज, और जब साइबल सर आएंगे तो उनका लंबा इंट्रोडक्शन रेडी है मेरे पास, वैसे प्रिपेयर करके रहा हूँ मैं, तो उनका बिल्कुल मिलेगा। लेकिन अभी के लिए और जो भी पिछला पॉडकास्ट देख नहीं पाए समर सर का, तो बिल्कुल आज उनकी जर्नी फिर से रिपीट नहीं करेंगे। आज विल ट्राई टू एक्सप्लोर न्यू होराइजन्स, कुछ नया टॉपिक एक्सप्लोर करने को कोशिश करेंगे। तो अगर जिन्होंने वो पुराना पॉडकास्ट ऑलरेडी देख चुका है और उनके मन में कुछ सवाल थे जो भी वहाँ पे आंसर नहीं हुआ, लेकिन या फिर सवाल बाद में आए थे, तो बिल्कुल अभी पूछिए। हम होप करेंगे साइबल सर आ जाए। तो अभी के लिए फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल समर सर, वेलकम बैक। आई होप यू आर डूइंग वेल। तो आज का एजेंडा बताइए, क्योंकि ये IT डिस्कशन है, यहाँ पे एवरीबडी इज समवॉट एटलीस्ट नॉलेजेबल ऑफ IT। मेरे को स्ट्रीम चलाने के अलावा कुछ नहीं पता। तो ओवर टू यू सर।
Yeah, thank you. Thanks everyone. I think there was a little bit of an issue with Shrival joining, but I'm sure we could be joining soon. Thanks for having me and good to have you guys. As we can see, things are moving. The virus situation is, I think, different countries are at different stages. So people are actually kind of trying to get control of it. But mostly what I have seen that there are a lot of new ways of doing things which are actually coming out. A lot of opportunities are being explored, how things could be done in the new way as people. I think the new coined word will be the new normal. What is going to be the new normal? So expect a new normal to come out, and that is how it is going to be. And what I'm watching, through various news channels, media channels, etc., and trying to kind of apply my own logic and discuss with my other colleagues, etc. It looks like different countries at different stages of handling the problem. Uh, for example, I think you guys know that Denmark is one of the countries which is actually planning to end the lockdown and open up, and a lot of countries are actually very eagerly looking at how they are going to be doing it and what is going to be the impact, because everybody is worried about the second wave and things like that. But anyway, that's not our area. That's the doctors and the health workers, and God bless them. We are all here because of them, so we can not thank them enough. That's all what I can say. But interestingly, that what I think we should look at, that how the new normal is going to be, how things are going to be working as we go forward. I think that's what is going to be the new thing. Anybody has any questions or anything we can talk, or Sen, if you have any comments
Yeah,
or
I would.
something.
I think at this
Sir,
point,
firstly,
I would.
actually, we do have Saibal sir with us. He's just
Yeah,
joined us.
he's joined us,
Excellent.
but I think he's
Yeah.
getting ready.
Yeah,
So
sure,
that's
sure.
good news. But I would first of all welcome all the audience and welcome Shama for version 2.0. Your version 1.0 was fantastic. People loved it, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions. सबके पास सवाल होगा, तो थोड़ा सवाल पूछ लीजिएगा आप सब समर से. So he's going to be there answering your questions. That's great.
Yeah. What I would like to say that now that we have Saival, maybe let's do Saival's session. I'll be very frank. I can even take another slot some other day. That's absolutely fine with me. But now that we have Saival, maybe we should stay focused. Is he online now, guys? I mean, Saival, can you talk?
So he has not connected to audio yet. I think he'll be doing that soon. And this can be an across the table question, and maybe with this we'll start. So first, my question would be to Samar sir, and then probably I'll put it to Saibal sir, who will probably speak his first words on this podcast. Sir, many people are being laid off right now from their jobs. Many people are being asked to take sabbaticals, like work sabbaticals, maybe not work for 3-4 months, or maybe work for 3-4 months and not take any money. It seems like the career ecosystem overall in every sector is falling down. So however much optimism we show, it's not reflecting in the numbers. How do we move ahead in this situation? Like, if I'm a job professional, how do I move ahead, especially in IT, or like, is it going to change in IT or something, or is it going to change, only in sectors like tourism, or in sectors like, the cab industry, let's say, where we need a physical touch? Is IT also going to be affected by it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there, IT will also be affected. But as usual, what happens is the technology is one area where everybody will come back and take support of it. I mean, yes, there will be a temporary setback. There will be, let's say, coming, a good 3 to 4 months. Don't expect a lot of, jobs coming up, because there will be, a lot of rationalization, a lot of right sizing of different natures in terms of, what kind of people should work where and those kind of things. Because as you know, especially the Indian IT organizations, we have the way we have, built the Indian IT organizations. Primarily, we have young engineers and other professionals joining at the one phase, and they get trained, and then they trained well enough so that they can start supporting overseas clients from India, and then eventually they travel overseas and kind of support. That was our kind of staple model. But I think there will be a change to that, especially the ratio of travel and all those things. But the overall number wise, I don't see it is going to be changing in a negative way beyond 4 to 6 months. You know why? Look at even today's announcement, where Zuckerberg of Facebook has tie up with with Geo, right? They want to use the Geo platform for bringing out the money and all. Now, how is this going to happen? It's going to happen only through IT professionals working on it. Look at when the whole world, the economy was going down, there's one company which started gaining immensely in terms of their net worth, which is what we are using as we are speaking, which is Zoom, right? So I mean, the thing is, there will be a change how IT is going to be used, absolutely, but the demand, I don't see it is going down. There will be more and more technology coming in various sectors of our life, where to ensure that the the social distancing is maintained and things like that. So yes, it is not going to be like the way it used to be in last 5 years or 10 years or something like that. There will be a new way of doing things, but net, I don't see anything coming down. Now, your second part is, so what do we do now? I think I also tried to address it in my last session. And I will stick to it that this is a time when you basically try to learn as much as you can. This is the lockdown period or whatever. If you have some downtime in terms of your work and this and that, this is the time when you try to learn as much as you can. There are a lot of online resources which are available. Even Harvard University is offering online free courses, and I'll be more than happy to share some of the links and give you some recommendations, suggestions, etc. But I would say make the best use of learning opportunity during this lockdown period. That will be my one-liner here.
And now, thankfully, Saibal sir is with us. So, Samanth,
Yeah.
if you can introduce sir, and then maybe we can put the same question to him.
Yeah. I can see him though.
Yeah, he's in the call. So guys, firstly,
you have to turn on your video maybe, or
no, it is working, sir. It is working.
oh, okay. Maybe I can't see.
First of all, Saibal sir, we are thankful you're finally here.
Thank you. Sorry for this delay. I got stuck in another call, so a little delayed.
No worries.
Thank you so much.
Great. So guys, firstly, let's see. Saibal sir has completed his graduation from City College of Commerce and Business Administration, post which he completed his cost accountancy. As part of his career, he has also completed various certification and accreditation programs conducted by national authorities as well as by organizations that he has worked for, and also for his own development. He started his professional career with HSBC in 1992. During his time with HSBC Eastern India, he worked in various departments. The leadership roles that he held during this period were in NRI services, premier banking services, and private banking services. As a step forward in his career, he moved to ABN AMRO Bank East in the year 2003, heading one of the investment advisory business clusters dedicated towards advising NHI clients. In 2005, with an ambition to independently run an investment advisory business, he started his own, which he continues to run successfully. जिसके बारे में हम और सुनेंगे बिल्कुल. The scope and objective of his company is to provide qualitative and quantitative advice to his clients so that they can meet their life cycle goals. He is a regular columnist with Ananda Bazar Patrika, doing profile study, and has collaborated with CNBC TV 18 and Zee Bangla on personal finance. He has been a regular speaker at various corporate houses and at the chambers. Excuse me. He was adjudged the Best Financial Advisor East and the Special Jury Award for Financial Education and Inclusion All India by CNBC TV 18 for the year 17-18 and 18-19. He loves to describe himself as a mediator between goals and means. He is also passionate about wildlife, quizzing, debating, and cinema. So firstly, again, Saibal sir, thank you so much for being with us today. And Samar sir, it's so good to have you both together with us. So
before Saibal goes, if I can just add my few lines for Saibal. When I met him, I was younger. Saibal was younger, way younger than me at that point in time at HSBC NRI banking. When I met him, he was like real bright young boy with tremendously shining eyes. was extremely intelligent, but more importantly to me, he was very, very honest and absolutely to the point, and top class relationship builder. And that was way back in '93 or whatever year those were, like 25 years back or something like that. But ever since, it has been my pleasure to meet Saival. Saival, I just want to use this forum publicly to acknowledge what you are. Saival is a powerhouse. Whatever you have described, yeah, that's official. But apart from that, he's a powerhouse. I have not come across a person who is more knowledgeable on finance and also so honest. I mean, it has been my pleasure, Saival, to meet you all the time. And anybody comes to me for any financial advice, I only send them and say, hey, you guys want honest advice? Go and talk to this gentleman. He's not after your business, I can guarantee you, but he only wants to give you the best advice possible. By the way, Saival has toured around the world and things like that. So over to you, Saival. I don't want to take more time.
No. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed by these kind words that people have showered, and Shamarda specifically has showered. I'm just doing a job that I've come here on earth to do, and I try to do to the best of my abilities. Shamarda has been a great friend. He's a client of mine, but more than that, he's a friend, a philosopher, a guide. He's always been by our side. So good words from him always is most welcome, and that's most cherishing for me. But on the other hand, all the good words that you have put in as an introduction is overwhelming for me.
Okay, let's go. I'll go on mute now. So Samanth, Aditya, you guys can get started.
थैंक यू सर. फर्स्टली गाइस, आदित्य से एक फीडबैक आया था कि ऑडियो का थोड़ा इशू आ रहा है. हाँ, मेरे एंड पे भी आई कैन फील अ लिटिल बिट ऑफ इशू, लेकिन अगर आपको कोई इशू आ रहा है तो बिल्कुल लेट मी नो इमीडिएटली. इमीडिएटली इफ़ यू लेट मी नो, मैं कुछ फिगर आउट करने फिगर आउट कर सकता हूँ. तो बिल्कुल कीप सेंडिंग मी फीडबैक. सो फर्स्टली आई गेस आदित्य, बिफोर यू गेट योर क्वेश्चन, आई गेस अनीता जी का क्वेश्चन आया था विच आई थिंक इज़ रिलेवेंट फॉर दिस डे, this exact moment in time. Anita ji says Indian rupee is weakening against US dollar. So do you think it's a blessing for Indian IT sector, as mostly revenue of Indian IT sector is in US dollars? अभी के लिए as of now, if I read the paper correctly, 75.91 रुपी है आज का Indian rupee value. So over to you.
So that's one part of the coin which says that Indian currency is depreciating against the dollar, so there'll be more revenue that Indian IT companies can earn from the system by giving their services. But what this corona has actually given us is a new world. So we must not believe or trust that once this corona ends, that everything will become normal as new world that it was. So what can change with this corona thing that has happened? That can change is that what will be the purchasing power of these companies? What will be the purchasing power of these companies that are using our services? So when you look at one side of the coin, which says that yes, there will be a currency depreciation and you will get more number of dollars, you must also understand that all the companies, and this affected not our country, it's affected worldwide. So all the companies who are using our services, they must be in a position to hire us to take our services. And they should be, the first choice should be India as a choice, and our companies should be ones that they should choose as the ones that they should use. So therefore, the only side is that depreciation of currency will help us to gain more business is not the right picture. The right picture is in totality, which means that our IT companies should be able to get most of the contracts that are available in the system, and also that the currency will help to get more number of money to come into our coffers. But that will not be the only criteria.
राइट, थैंक यू सर. तो गाइज, अगर आपके कोई भी क्वेश्चन आते हैं प्लीज़ भेजते रहिए, एंड आई विल डायरेक्ट दिस टुवर्ड्स आदित्य. आज के लिए पावर ले लेना, यू हैव टू डायरेक्ट द होल थिंग, क्योंकि लाइक आई सेड IT एंड फाइनेंस, जीरो नॉलेज, पैसा बचाना आता है लेकिन उसके अलावा और कुछ नहीं आता. सो ओवर टू आदित्य.
Yeah, even my knowledge about IT and finance is not as much as it should be because my degree was in IT. But thank you so much, Shaival sir, for coming. It's a pleasure
Yeah,
for us to have you here.
yeah. Same here.
So the first question I want to ask you is, the same one which I asked Samar sir. Post COVID-19, there's already a lot of effect on the effect on the careers that we are seeing right now. That many people are being asked to take work-related sabbaticals. Many people are being asked to, many people are being laid off. In other words, so however optimistic we try to appear for this situation, in practical terms, it is not appearing as optimistic, at least as of now. So, what is the ecosystem going to be like? Because since you are also from a finance background, what is the ecosystem going to be like? Is our economy going to be drastically affected? Is every country's economy going to be drastically affected? Like in the layman's term, if you could help us understand.
Yeah, so this is something which we have not seen. We have seen this kind of a pandemic probably 100 years back with the Spanish flu, and now we are seeing this. In my lifetime, at least, I have not seen a situation like this. So what has happened is the entire economy of many of the countries have actually got into a standstill. Nothing is moving. We have quarantined ourselves. We've gone home and we have said that let's shut the economy for some time. Let's stop every activity and let's wait till this goes through. But there is no sign of this going through either. So we don't have a viral treatment in hand. We don't have a situation where we can say tomorrow this will fly off. And our economy is actually in a standstill. So most of the economies are trying to now start their economies and balance it with the disease. So what they're trying to do is that they're saying that, okay, we understand there is something which is happening. We understand it's life-threatening. We understand that this needs so much so and so protection, but we cannot stop the economy. Let's start the economy parallelly, slowly and slowly. What it is done, since we have stopped the economy for some time and it might be stopped for some more time, the starting process of the economy will take a lot of time. Like we stop a car for 10-15 days and we don't start it. Then if you need to start it, then your battery goes down. You need to restart. So most of the economies will actually, it will be difficult for them to create demand and then followed by supply. So that now there is hardly any demand available. There is no supply available because supply is not possible with a lockdown situation. So both are standstill. Once you start the engine again, and provided this disease passes through, and we have some kind of a situation where we can start working again, then the demand has to be created so as to the supply has to match that. Now, what will happen to other economies is they're pumping in as much of money as possible. They're printing as much of money and pumping into the system. The problem with India is that most of the Indian economy is dependent on agriculture. There are a large quantum of people who depend on daily working, and the earnings are based on daily working. So for us to keep the economy on a standstill for a very long period of time can lead to disaster. Because we'll have so many people who will stay hungry, will not be able to eat. To meet all these hungry mouths by the government is also extremely difficult. So I'm not trying to be very pessimistic, but what I'm trying to say is that there is difficulty in hand that we are. But is this the end of the world? Not at all. We'll have to come back, but the process will be slow. And it depends on how each economy takes it. It needs a large participation by the government to start the economy through infrastructure spending, etc., and also by the private sector to support it. Is it possible at all to come back, get through this situation? Of course, it is possible. We have to create that demand and supply, which was there before. It will take some time, but it's very much possible. How does it affect the people? How does it affect the people who are going for a job, who are having a job, etc.? Many of them will suffer because the small businesses are collapsing because they can't last that long. They can't sustain for 3-4 months without production or without sales. or without revenue. So maybe the dynamics of the job will have to change. So there can be that people who are doing X jobs will look for Y jobs after this. There will be a dynamic shift. But through this process, there will be some amount of distress for sure.
Got it, sir. Now, sir, going from a kind of overview of a corona situation to a personal journey, I really want to know that when you were in 12th class, because a majority of our audience is also from school or college students. How did you progress from 12th class? Were you a commerce student? Had you always thought that you'll become eventually a financial and investment analyst or advisor, or did you have other dreams back then and it changed on the course? How was the journey
Yeah.
like till here?
Yeah, so I am a confused guy. So I have had a lot of distractions in life. Some have worked for me, some have not worked for me. But in those days when I was doing my 12th plus 12 in a Bengali family, it was very, it was quite understood that you had to do science as a 11th, 12th kind of a course. So my father, looking at my 10th result, put me into science, which I hated. So there was no counseling as such. There was no guidance. It was just that you've done well in 10th in your maths and science, so you need to do science. And I did my 11th, 12th in science, and I did pathetically because I had no love for the subject.
Okay.
Then when I passed out from my class 12, then I joined commerce, and then I felt I had a new world in hand. And then I felt that this was where I was supposed to be. This is what I always wanted to study. So, and then from there, my father was a banker. He was a central banker. He was with RBI. So I had always a liking towards banking system. So I gave some exams for banking and I joined banking. Through the process, and that's how banks were growing at in those days, that we start learning about personal finance, and the liking grew to love, and love grew to passion, and passion grew to profession, and profession has cycled back to love. So it's just that I went through a particular process, and it was sheerly by luck and certain amount of liking towards the subject that I was there, and I'm still there. But we didn't have really so much of a guidance that we should be going there any specialized courses apart from management courses to be a banker. Today there are specialized courses for banking, there are specialized courses for mutual funds, there are specialized courses for their individual professions. In our days, there were very few. It was just that you pursued your liking and you pursued your profession, and within your profession you started loving them, and then you stuck to them. That's how it was for me.
Sir, back then, so you took science. In hindsight, now if you see back, when you were in 10th class, if you knew that you'll become a financial analyst and advisor, would you take up commerce?
Yes, I should have. And that's a subject that I really realized that I love. I loved my accountancy, I loved my economics, so I love those subjects. But I had no option. I mean, that option was not really available there. And my father wanted me to do science and probably engineering later or medical or something of that sort, which every Bengali parents cherish to have their sons into. But on the hindsight, of course, I should have been in commerce, and I could have done much better in my 11th, 12th, and my focus and my thinking towards my subjects that I love would have been much clearer and better. Yes, of course, it would have been.
Right. I'll ask another audience question. So first, I'll address an audience comment, which is again by Anita ji. I think she's co-hosting with us today, almost. Welcome, Mr. Sairwal Biswas, sir. Happy to have you here. You're from a domain area of my interest, and I am going to seek many valuable information from you today. You're most welcome.
Sure.
Then she follows it up with a question. As share market in India corrected 30 to 40% to the best time of last financial year quarter, what do you think is the right time to invest in fundamentally strong shares, or there will be one more wave of correction in equity market as future of COVID-19 is uncertain?
Yeah, there can be more corrections that are available, but if you can see stocks, and I can see some of them, which are really quality stocks which have really corrected more than they should have. And they've corrected more because some of the foreign institutional investors have dumped them. They have dumped them because they wanted to run to safety. So if there are some quality stocks that are available there in the market, please buy them. Don't look at many connections. What you can do is you can stagger your investments on this. For example, I'm just giving an example. I'm not allowed to name a few, but say for example, you like a quality FMCG stock or a banking stock, and you think that there could be corrections further. Don't wait for the correction. Buy 10% each in the next 3, 4, 6 months, because this situation might last for the at least for the next 3 to 6 months for the stock market, and maybe for a longer time for the economy. But if you want to park your money into equities, this is one of the times, and stagger your investment into those stocks.
Right. So guys, it's a blessing in disguise. We have Shaiwal sir not only answering career related questions, but also investment related questions, which I think are a very interesting subject right now, because the most uncertain time to invest anything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
गाइज क्योंकि अभी स्टॉक मार्केट का ये कोई टॉपिक आ ही गया है इन्वेस्टमेंट वगैरह का, तो साइवल सर आई वांट टू आस्क यू, मेरा कोई लाइक आई सेड फाइनेंस एंड मनी नथिंग जीरो है ना, मैं अपना खुद का फाइनेंस मैनेज कर सकता हूँ, कितना बचाना है इतना मुझे पता है, बट आई एम वेरी मच क्यूरियस अबाउट द स्टॉक मार्केट, लाइक कैसे चलता है. आई एम कम्प्लीटली अनअवेयर, लाइक प्योरली अनएजुकेटेड, इलिटरेट, एवरी अदर एडजेक्टिव यू वांट टू पुट इन द डिक्शनरी. तो हाउ डज समवन लाइक मी, हाउ डज वन अप्रोच टू लर्निंग एटलीस्ट, इन्वेस्ट करना तो दूर की बात है, लेकिन हाउ डज वन अप्रोच टू एटलीस्ट एजुकेटिंग देमसेल्व्स, लाइक टू फेमिलियराइज कैसे हो सकता है इसके लिए?
See, there are many domains that are available on the net, etc., where you can learn more. But just to give you an idea that why one should look at the stock exchange at all for your investment purpose. People say, why should you? It's so risky. It goes up and down, and it goes through a spiral, etc. So every investment that you put your money in is only considered to be earning you returns if it crosses inflation, which means that if you invested 100 rupees and your inflation is 5%, then if you earn 105 rupees, then actually you have earned nothing. You have earned zero, because your real return is zero. Because that means 100 will anyway cost you 105 a year later. So that means anything which gives you above inflation return can actually generate you real return. So if the stock exchange can generate you 12% return and your inflation is 5%, then your actual return is around 7%. So your real return is 7%. So you should be allocating money for the long term into the stock market to grow your investments. The stock market also allows you to put in your money in a staggered fashion, which salary earners can easily do, and also in very small droplets or quantums. So you can use your own ideas to park your money into direct stocks, or you can use the mutual fund route to park your money into the stock exchange. So into various group of stocks that you like. Now, how you can look at stock exchange is that there are various sites. There are Bombay Stock Exchange or National Stock Exchange sites in themselves, which teaches you a lot about the sites. More than that, you must start having some interest in the companies that are there in the stock. I'll give you an example. If you are working in IT and you don't know anything about, say, a pioneer like Infosys, it's not right. You should know how the structure of the company is, what kind of business it does, what kind of modeling it does, what kind of revenue it starts earning. And once you start delving into the company, you will realize that whether it is undervalued or overvalued, whether it has more potential to earn more money or not. So once you start doing that, you will realize that you will need to pick some of the stocks that you have started working on. So to answer your question, this is a very vast subject. To answer your question in a nutshell is that, one, that you should have equities or stock markets in part of your personal portfolio to grow your long-term wealth. Part two is that if you devote some little bit of time on the stocks or on the companies, which is available very much in the public domain on the sites, then you can not only generate interest in them, also you can make a little bit of money from.
Great. Thank you so much, sir. At least अभी कुछ तो दिशा मिल रही है. Some direction to start upon. Over to you, Aditya.
Sure. So with one last question, I'll transfer to Mr. Sen and Samar sir. I think both of them will have some really interesting questions to ask Saibal sir. But sir, I would want to ask one more question, and this is the last question from me for today, probably, unless and until more audience comments come in. So one thing is having an interest in a domain, and that you, as you said, you developed coincidentally, that you were initially wandering, then you took up a job in a bank, and while doing that and while exploring the subject, you understood that you have an aptitude for it.
Right.
If I am in a school or I'm in a college, what all subjects do I have to be good at to be able to assume that, okay, maybe finance, I have an aptitude for it? Do we really need to be good at math? Is it just math or other subjects also?
Yeah, so maths is a compulsory yes for anything. We assume that commerce people should not need math so much. So people actually fly from science to commerce with the assumption that there will be no math. And so let's fly off to commerce there. That's not the right way to look at it. Maths is the backbone for any financial market as well. So any study, any calculations, any mathematics, everything depends on math. So maths is something which is very important. So how do you judge today that whether you would really like a subject like finance for your future? So we don't have a finance as a subject as early as in 11th and 12th. So the thing that you need to focus on is that whether you like commerce as a subject or not. Commerce meaning commerce and trade and accounts, whether you like it as a subject or not. And then you start specializing and move into various other categories or various specializations. So finance is one specialization. The finance has many other segments. One is the one that I specialize in personal finance. There is corporate finance. There is restructuring. There is various other corporate forms of finance that you can look at. So once that starts from graduation and post-graduation. But prima facie, one that you have to realize when you're doing your commerce, whether you like the principles of commerce and trade, and then you can start thinking that whether you start understanding or putting more time on finance or not. Because finance, as you go forward, will diversify it into many streams as engineering or any other subjects also. But I think initially you have to try to figure out whether you like commerce and accounts and trade as a subject. Then only probably you'll start liking finance as a subject. And maths is important, and maths is very much integral part of that subject.
So guys, you hear it. Maths is important to be in finance.
So definitely that is confirmed. मैं 9th maths fail हूँ, like I said again. So I am not moving. I'm not changing my career now.
So now I would like to pass it on to yet another cost accountant. So we have two cost accountants in the podcast today. To Mr. Sen.
Thank you, Aditya. Welcome, Shaibal. Welcome, Somar. It's good to have you guys on the show today. And Saibal, it's very good to have you on the show, because I'm sure the personal finance angle is of interest to each and every individual who's watching the show today and who's going to watch it in the future.
Right.
So I'm now going to move in directly into the personal finance area for the benefit of the audience. Now, one thing which is there is, inherently, traditionally, we found that bank deposits was something that everybody felt comfortable with. So you have some money, you put it into a bank deposit, you make a recurring deposit, or you put it into a fixed deposit for some time. Now, what has happened with the COVID and even before the COVID is the bank interest rates have started to fall. And as we speak today, the bank interest rate is perhaps lower than the inflation rate, the retail price index, the inflation of today.
Right.
So that's a problem.
Yes.
for every single individual that is there today out there. So first of all, what is your suggestion in this scenario for the individuals?
Okay. So you are absolutely correct that the interest rates has really come down and can come down further because we are still well above the international interest rates. The rates have come down because we have to accommodate growth. And in a situation like this, if interest rates don't come down further, then it's very difficult for MSMEs or industries to survive. So when we talk to our clients, we have a particular leaf, or we have a particular leaf or a particular process that we follow. The process is very simple. Every person has his personal financial goals. So goals for children's education, goals for your own retirement, goals for going abroad, goals of buying a house, a car, etc. And all these goals are categorized into two versions. One is a short-term goal and another is a long-term goal. Now, what instruments we use to meet the short-term goals is not necessarily the instruments that we use to meet the long-term goals. So short-term goals, like for example, I want to buy a car after a year, could be either funded through a car loan and partially through some amount of money which I have stacked in a fixed deposit or in my savings account. But not necessarily that same instrument can be used to fund your child education, which is 15 years or 12 years. That's a long term. So most of our requirement for fixed deposits in building of assets is utilized on the shorter end of the goal cycle, and in the longer end of the goal cycle, most of the equity instruments are used. Not that the parameter is 0 and 100. There is a certain amount of fixed deposit which is used to maintain liquidity in the long term, but not necessary to reach these goals. And then the shorter end, the fixed deposits are utilized for the meeting of the specific goals. Also, there is an issue of the risk appetite. Everybody does not have the risk appetite to park their money into large sum of money into equity. Therefore, for them, we have to use certain larger proportion into debt. And fixed deposit is part of that debt instrument. This is one of the types of debt instruments that are available to us. So we have to park something into a fixed deposit. For example, a person who is 70 years old, not looking at any rest, is not working anymore, he wants to park his money. So larger corpus of his money will go towards fixed deposit. However, with the interest rate slide, he is now actually suffering or put in a situation where the money that is generating from fixed deposit is not sufficient for him to run his expenses. And therefore, we are having to pull out of certain amount of money from his fixed deposits and parking partially into riskier avenues to rebalance his portfolio. Going forward, since in our country we don't have a security system, the government does not provide us any social security, we have to be sure that we accumulate more money than what it is visually required at this stage, just to cover for our future inflation and downward spiral of the interest rates. So answering your question, yes, this is an issue. And this is an issue for people who are risk averse, who are older, but we have to rebalance their portfolio just to meet their ends meet, rebalance their portfolio into other asset class apart from FDs, just for them to survive. But people who are looking long term, who are long way to go, who have goals which are perched 10, 15 years hence, probably they have to use more of other equity assets to build up their corpus.
Thank you very much for that clarity. And now that brings me to the next for a related question. Now we have a lot of the audience who are much younger. So I assume they'll be looking at the whole scenario in the longer term situation. There are people in the audience who are starting off their careers, who are in the process of getting into a career. And I think for them, it would be a very good idea to understand a little bit of what this saving thing means, because the earlier you understand, hopefully the better you are as you go
Yeah,
forward in life.
absolutely.
And I would
Absolutely.
like to
Now,
add something small, something to it. People from my generation don't save at all, at all.
yeah, I was coming to that question. So thank you, Aditya, for putting it in there. I was building up to the question. So what happens is, when someone starts his or her career, the initial stages, there is this joy, there is this, lovely feeling of earning some money, and there is a tendency of spending not only that money, but a bit more than that money.
Yeah.
And we have all the avenues available to us to do so. So you have the banks giving out credit cards, giving out loans, and so on and so forth. And there is a tendency that their target are the younger people, because they know that the younger people will want to do it. Now, so that's a scenario. I want your opinion on that, as well
Yeah.
as how do we actually manage such a situation as we come out of COVID?
Yeah, let me answer this with a couple of examples. I want to tell everybody who is listening is that life does not have a rewind button. So once you have gone through 5-10 years, you can't just say, let's rewind and go back and let's start building again. It will never be built. The time lost is time gone. Let me give you an example. Say, for example, somebody who is retired with, say, 1 crore of rupees, does not have any liabilities in hand, has parked his money into a 7% interest instrument, and he gets 7 lakhs a year, and that is sufficient for him and his wife to survive. 5 years hence, the interest rate has become 6%, and that 7 lakh, the items that he used to buy with 7 lakhs has become 8 lakhs. So what is his earning now? His earning is 6 lakhs because interest rates have gone down to 6%, and the requirement now is 8 lakhs. So there is a clear deficit of 2 lakhs. Now he has filled up whatever filling up of assets that he was supposed to do in his lifetime. So he does not have any other future source of money that he can garner. So the 2 lakh deficit actually will go out from his capital. So he will start eroding his capital. And the more he goes on doing this, there could be a time which can face where his capital will actually become zero. So what I'm trying to tell you is that one thing that you must remember, that inflation in your life is the biggest demon that can eat out your capital. Point 2 is that if you don't start early, then what happens? If you start early, then let's say, for example, 2 rupees after a particular period of time becomes 4, and 4 after a particular time becomes 8, 8, 16, 16, 32, and 32, 64, and 128, and so on and so forth. So the duration for the time that you can allot for 2 rupees to become 4 rupees, let's say, is 5 years, and 4 to 8 is another 5 years, and so on and so forth. So if you start late in your earning life and your savings life, you start late, then what happens? You will not have the time to actually quadruple or go on doubling your money. Say, for example, I started investing at the age of 25. So I will have more time till 60 or 55 to go on building on my money. But somebody who had started investing at 35 will have lesser time for him to actually build on his wealth. It's at the last stage of your wealth which actually magnifies. So 2 becomes 4, 4, 8, 8, 16, 16, 32, 32, 64, 128, and 256. So you're saying the more the time you spend, the larger is the quantum of money that you can actually accumulate. But if you have not given enough time to it, then you might end at 2 to 4 and 4 to 8 to 16, and somebody can end at 256. So if you don't start early in your investment process, then the sufferance can be large. We live in a country where there is no social security for us. So whatever we have to build for ourselves to support our families. There'll be other goals which will crop up in your life, like child education, child study, child marriage, your own new house, etc., etc. So if you don't start building your wealth, there is no rewind button to tell you after 20 years that let's start again. So it is better that we start early, but keep two things in mind. One, that it is time that is important. One, that it is inflation which we have to defeat.
So everybody who's listening in, it's the earlier you start, the better chance you have to make something that is there for a rainy day like COVID and for your life. Now, Shreebal, I just want to ask you something, and for the benefit of the users, you talked about doubling. So 2 becomes 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, and all that. There is something which we typically call the rule of 72.
Yeah.
So if you can explain to the audience the rule of 72, so they will understand, you know, this doubling factor perhaps a bit more.
So the rule of 70 is now 72. We normally don't talk about, but what we say is that, so for example, that every asset class, and not a single asset class, but I'm talking of a jumble of asset class, needs to double itself to actually manifest its power. So a 2 becomes 4 and a 4 becomes 8 and 8 becomes 16. This particular process and a time frame that he uses to do that, and it could be a mixed bag. It could be FD, mutual funds, and stocks, etc. So if he can double it, then the manifestation at the end will be like a GP series and a geometric progression series. So the manifestation will be much larger, and we should always target for that doubling of that. So once we get 2 to become 4, we must target the next dot to become 4 to become 8 and 8 to become 16. And then, so we have to allocate that time. For that to happen, I think there is a financial planning that is most importantly required for each one of us. People say, why should I need financial planning? Because I'm just started doing a job. Why do I need financial planning? It's a very simple system. Financial planning is a process where you identify your goals. Also, at the same time, you identify the resources that you have. Now, goals can be short-term, goals can be long-term. At this stage, if you've just started your job, you might say that I'm looking at marriage 3 years down, so I need some money there. Okay, fair enough. That's a goal. And then there can be long-term goals like retirement. Now, once you sit to do financial planning, you tell me that these are the resources that are available for me. So I earn 10,000 rupees and I spend 7,000 rupees. So 3,000 rupees I have surplus. And how do I best utilize these 3,000 to meet my short-term and long-term goals? Once you map this and you start planning for that 3,000 and map it against your goals, then you move forward trying to meet those goals. Is this static? Not at all. So every 6 months you start reviewing your financial planning. Okay, anything happened new in my life? Has my job salary gone up? Has my goals changed? Once you do that, then you start adding again to your financial planning. Okay, fine. My salary went up by 2,000. Have I allocated 2,000 more to meet my subsequent? If this process can be followed by each one of us, I think it will be easier for us to meet our goals. I'll give another example. Before COVID, we used to always try to tell people that, do you have that emergency corpus of 3 months to 6 months salary in your hand? People used to say, why do you need 3 months, 6 months salary? Well, it's okay. It's okay. We have money, we get salary every month, that's fine. See what happens now. There's so many people who are stuck with a loss of salary or lack of income, lack of liquidity at this stage. So financial planning as a process teaches us to be regimental, teaches us that whether what we should do every month with our resources or every year with our resources that we have, and how we can reach our goal. Will it be perfect? Might not be, but the difference would be very low. So when we reach a goal, for example, for child education, my requirement is say 30 lakhs. I might have 25 lakhs or 35 lakhs, but I will not be far away from the mark. So I think the process that everybody should start doing is a process of financial planning, where you earmark your goals, you earmark your resources, and start putting your money based either on a financial advisory model, or you learn the process that you earmark your money into various baskets so that they are there for your goals at that time.
Thank you very much, Shoibal.
So,
Aditya? Okay.
yeah, so Aditya asked me to ask some questions. So, Shoibal, for the benefit of the listeners who are obviously, school kids, college kids, and their parents, I suppose, if you could touch upon two areas. One is the student loan. How is it available, or what's your recommendation on that? And maybe a little bit on the insurance side of it also. How important is that and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll start with insurance and then we'll go to loans. So insurance, I only understand one or two forms of insurance. That is protection. I don't consider insurance to be any of the instruments which can support me in terms of earning. Insurance, to me, the word is coming from the word insure, which tries to tell me that it gives me protection. So if I am an earning member of my family and everything depends on me, if something happens to me physically, that I die, then what happens to my earnings? Emotionally, forget emotions. Forget what will happen physically. What will happen physically is that my earnings will immediately evaporate from me. So I need to ensure that if I am not there, there is sufficient money which can be brought into the system so that my family runs. That's the term which is insurance. So you need to insure yourself if you're an earning member, to the extent that whatever your earnings were there, if you're not there, then your family will get protected. The second part is insurance, is that what happens if I am not dead, but I'm incapacitated and I can't do any work. So there is an insurance which needs to cover, you need to cover yourself with an insurance, which is basically an accidental insurance, which means that if anything unfortunate happens to you, where you get incapacitated and lose your right to work, and then hence your income, then this insurance will give you a lump sum money, where you can park it somewhere and get a monthly income. So that's the two parts. The third part, most important, is your health insurance. And we know what is happening around us at this stage. And health insurance is very important. A lot of people tell me that I bought a health insurance, but last 10 years, nothing happened to me. So what is the use of paying the premium? But one big happening or one big medical issue can actually completely destroy the wealth that you have created for your family or for yourself. So it is important that you take a very good cover for your health insurance. And health expenses are going up every day. The inflation rate in our country, if it is 5% for normal, for health, it is much, much higher. So you need to cover yourself well with the health insurance, I think. And also for critical illness. There are critical illness which are very expensive. There are cancer, there are kidney problems which cost a lot. So there are insurances for that also. So I think if you cover these four segments, one is your life insurance, the term policy, which does not give any returns, but if anything happens, then your family gets a lump sum money. Then there is your accidental insurance. If anything happens by accident and you get incapacitated, then there is coverage for that. Then there is a critical illness. If some critical illness happens to you and you need a large sum of money, then this kind of insurance can help you. And then there is medical insurance, which is more important, which helps you to get through any kind of hospitalization and operations. The fourth and fifth are probably your house and your car. Your car insurance is compulsory. A lot of people forget that to insure their houses because they feel that that's okay. In Chennai floods last year, so many people lost their houses. There can be earthquakes, there can be fire. So I think house is our biggest investment of life, I think that also needs to be mentioned. In terms of education loan, yes, education loan started just to fund everybody's education, and I think you should take it. There are two possible ways of taking it. One, that you take it and then the person goes through that education process through which you don't pay the principal back, and after your education course is over, then you start repaying back. There is another way of taking education loan where your parents take the education loan for you and then they start repaying. But Shamodda was pointing out to the direction that where the education loan, I think education is also getting expensive, and I think it needs to be supported by the loan. Some parents will not be able to pay from the resources of full amount for their children's education. There's no harm in funding their children's education through a loan which the banks are offering.
Yeah, thanks very well. Yeah, I think the way the education is becoming, I have seen some boys actually work for 4 or 5 years, save some money, and take some loan and try to do their higher studies, maybe MBA from from one of the IIMs and things like that, so that they can get a better job. So I just wanted to get your perspective on that. That how.
Yeah. So
thank you.
So the children also have to take the responsibilities in life, and if
Exactly.
they feel that they can do for 3-4 years, do a job, and then they take the responsibility of taking a loan and developing their career, that possibility is there, and banks are there to support that possibility. So I don't see any harm in taking your own responsibility in your own hands on leaving everything to the parents.
Great, thank you so much. एक ऑडियंस क्वेश्चन है. आफ्टर दैट इफ एवरीबडी कैन, आई गेस वैसे भी हम लोग ने टाइम क्रॉस कर ही चुका है, तो थोड़ा और एक्सटेंड कर सकते हैं विथ योर परमिशन ऑल ऑफ यू. फर्स्टली बीना हिमांशु का क्वेश्चन है, व्हाट इज़ द बेस्ट स्टडी रूट फॉर मेकिंग करियर इन फाइनेंस. एंड अगर मैं ये क्वेश्चन को ऐड ऑन कर दूँ, फाइनेंस में अलग अलग जॉब रोल्स क्या हो सकते हैं, द डिफरेंट जॉब रोल्स इन फाइनेंस एंड द बेस्ट रूट टू गेट इन टू दैट सेक्टर.
So anything that you do your graduation and post-graduation in finance will give you a ample opportunity to enter the field of finance. So finance has many options available. One is the banking in finance, going through a bank is finance. There are other non-banking financial institutions which are available. There are rating agencies which are available in terms of a job which actually deal with finance. There are chartered firms which are available, or all the accounting firms which are available. There are all the big fours like PwC, etc., which are available in the system. So finance has a huge opportunity and a huge scope and a huge field to play around. The education that you need to put in is either if you feel like doing the accounting route, then you have to do some kind of an accounting course. If you want to go through a management kind of a skill set, then you have to go through a business administration or a MBA finance kind of a study to enter into the field of finance. But finance has huge scope. So it's personal finance, it's banking, it is accounting finance, it is rating agencies, it is forensic in finance. So finance has huge scope to go forward.
Right, great, Beena ji. I hope that answers your question. Also, दो और ऑडियंस क्वेश्चन है, तो गाइज आपको थोड़ा होल्ड ऑफ करना पड़ेगा विथ योर क्वेश्चंस. फर्स्टली वैभव सिंगल का क्वेश्चन है, हेलो सर, थैंक्स फॉर शेयरिंग वैल्यूबल इन्फॉर्मेशन ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट. व्हाट्स योर ओपिनियन अबाउट गोल्ड बॉन्ड्स? इज इट गुड टू इन्वेस्ट मनी इन गोल्ड बॉन्ड्स फॉर लॉन्ग टर्म एज कम्पेयर टू स्टॉक्स एंड म्यूचुअल फंड्स?
See, I believe that in your portfolio, at least 10% of the money should be in gold. But when everything in this world becomes filled with turmoil, then gold is the safe haven. So in everybody's portfolio should have 5-10% of exposure into gold. But in most of the Indian families, gold is always there as 5-10% of the portfolio because it is already there in the locker in some form of gold ornament. Just to give you an idea what gold bond is, gold bonds is issued by government. It gives you a return of around the last gold bond that is being issued now is around 2.5% of return, and you can also get the appreciation of gold going forward. So the asset class compared to an equity and gold are different. Gold might not be a very volatile instrument. At the same time, it might not give you a very huge scale of return compared to a equity or a equity mutual fund. But you should have 5-10% portion of your portion of gold in your overall portfolio. That's for sure.
ग्रेट फैंटास्टिक. अनीता जी का एक और क्वेश्चन है. आई गेस दिस अगेन गोज बैक टू थोड़ा करियर के वापस आ रहे हैं, तो दैट्स गुड. फॉर अ कॉमर्स/नॉन-कॉमर्स ग्रेजुएट, how can she or he build a career in financial planning? What's the acceptance of CFP certificate in Indian financial job market? And also if you can also sir, if you can explain what CFP is.
CFP is Certified Financial Planning. There is a course for that. There is an examination for that. Yes, it is useful. People in India have started realizing that just saving for the rainy day, saving for the future is not good enough. There needs professional people who can guide you towards your savings, who can guide you towards your corpus building process. CFP is one such career courses which is becoming slowly more popular, and I think going ahead, in the US it is almost compulsory to have a certified financial planner to plan your finances. In India also, I think the future is for CFP. People who are planning your finances must be aware how retirement needs to be planned, how your child's education needs to be planned. And without planning, I think what we have seen in our older generation is that चलो बेटे के पढ़ाई के लिए हमने इतना इकट्ठे किया, शॉर्ट हुआ तो I have taken a loan from somebody, and that's what we see in our older movies. Those things need to be eradicated. There must be a much more professional approach towards building up your corpus towards your various goals. To answer your question in a nutshell, yes, CFP is going to be very important going forward as a course.
ग्रेट सर, थैंक यू सो मच. एक्चुअली ये लाइव स्ट्रीम शुरू करने से पहले वी वर हैविंग अ कॉन्वर्सेशन विद समर सर. वो बता रहे थे कि साइबल सर का करियर जर्नी बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग था. सो समर सर, ओवर टू यू इफ यू वांट टू आस्क दैट पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन एंड स्टार्ट दैट कॉन्वर्सेशन गोइंग.
No, I think we covered it all. I mean,
no, if you
I don't know. I always
some of the you can please touch upon, because
I don't know how you'll take it so well, but
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. You can tell me. I can put up a few interesting anecdotes on that.
How the hell do you manage your last, I don't know, about 20 years of your life single-handedly? Which 10 of us cannot do it using our two hands. I just admire that, and if you don't mind, you can touch upon.
No, I don't mind at all. So this is part of my life. I lost my hand at the age of 26, and I was going on an official trip, and I lost my hand there. And when I came back to the hospital, the first question that I asked my doctor is that, and to my office also, that will I be able to join a job back? And they said, of course, why not? And then within 1 month, when I was there in my hospital, I learned how to write with my left hand. And then whenever then when I joined back, my office asked me whether I wanted a cushy job or a banking, accounts job, which will be a back house. So I said, no, I don't want that. So they offered me a sales job. I said, I want a sales job because the more the people I face, the more comfortable I'll be, the more any disadvantage that I had will get eradicated there. So I started facing people, I started going out, meeting people, and that's how I started becoming more and more confident. For my interview exams, two questions I'll say, this is the anecdote, and they asked me two questions. One question is that since you don't have a hand, then how do you think you can compete with others? So I said, then if you say that, then probably octopus would have been the most successful animal in this world. It is not. Why? Because everything is there in your brain. If you're equipped with a brain and you forget what disadvantages you have and you concentrate on your advantages, then I think your success will be very easy. Then you can be focused on what you're doing. So octopus is not the most successful. Human beings are the most successful animal class. The second question they ask me is that when you go for training outstations, everybody will come out with the shoes, socks, shirt, trousers, etc. Will you be able to manage with one hand? I said the timing for each of us is 9:30 to attend a training session. You make sure, I'll make sure that I'll reach the training session at 9:30. How I do it is my internal skill set. I do not want to share with you. You might want to copy that. And I cleared both the interviews and I headed private banking for the bank. So that is the power of the mind to think positively. If you can think positively, I think nothing is beyond us. No hand, no legs, nothing is beyond us. Think there are many people who are worse off, you're much better off. Concentrate on your skills that you have. I think it is much easier to back yourself up than others.
So that's very well for you guys. I mean, he's a living legend so far as I'm concerned. I mean, as I every time I think of him, he's an inspiration by himself. So guys, all of us are very fortunate to have his session today. That is all what I can say. He's a living, real, inspiration in front of us. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Shrival.
That is an inspiration indeed. Samad, can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure, definitely.
This is my last question. Shoaib, let's go back to finances for a change.
Yeah.
Now, that is your sweet spot. That is where you're most comfortable. So let's do that. Now, a person, an individual like me, Samant, Aditya, whoever, our income is our income, right? Whatever we earn.
Right.
But what we spend is someone else's income.
Right.
So it's a cycle that goes round and round. And then what that person spends is somebody else's income.
That's it.
So now there is two things over here, that with the COVID, there is a tendency of my income or the individual income to be reduced. Hopefully it will not be, but in the very short term, there is a real possibility it will be reduced.
Right.
When that happens, there is also a real possibility that I will not spend that much. So the other guy will not earn that much, his income will become less.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. So it's a cycle that happens.
Right.
So now I have two questions over here. Is how, as an individual, I plan my immediate next 3 months or whatever, 3-4 months personal expenditure on what I should spend on, what I should not spend on. And since what I don't spend on is going to have an effect on the other person's income. For example, I will not take a taxi, or I'll not buy a motorcycle. So the poor motorcycle producer will not make his income. Then the motorcycle manufacturer will not be able to pay the worker. So we have a cycle. So my question is very simple. What are the things that we can stop spending on and make a little bit of saving? And how do we get out of this? Is there a way, or it happens by itself?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And I think this question, everybody in this world is looking for an answer to this question exactly. This is the most pertinent question that I've heard in some time. And I think that's the most valid question that every government is asking itself. Maybe I'll remove the lockdown and I'll get the economies to start rolling, but can I pick up demand? Because everybody's got so scared that everybody is holding on to their own resources as tightly as possible. And if people lose their salary cuts, etc., more burden will build up. And I don't have a clear-cut answer to that. But what I can say is that what I can say is that we need to, as individuals, as personal finance, I think we need to pay our loans as religiously as we have been doing, if our resources permit. Even putting back of our EMIs that the government is offered is should not be taken, because what they have not given us is the interest factor. So somebody who has 20 years left will have to pay far more EMIs later. So if you can pay your external debts, whatever you can pay, your EMIs, your credit card bills, etc., try and pay as much as possible. Don't be spendthrift on consumption at this stage. On your personal resources, on your day-to-day activities, spend on all the FMCGs that you require to pay. But you're right, if you don't spend on other discretionaries, that those sectors will suffer. But first, we have to look at our own house. We have to keep all that in order, because there is uncertainty looming after this ends, at the end of the tunnel. So I think for the next 3-4 months, reduce your entertainments, discretionaries, etc. Concentrate on paying what you're paying on EMIs and expenses and debt, and concentrate on paying the minimals on what expenditures we are making internally. Save some money for the next 6-8 months. We don't know what can happen, how it can start. It might go very well, but it doesn't seem that it will go very well. So if there is stoppages or any kind of blockages, then we should have enough resources in hand to support ourselves. Going back to the question of the economy, how the consumption will help. So government is also trying to push only those industries which can create immediate demand, like crop, like agriculture. So the upliftment after the 21st lockdown has happened for agriculture, because Rabi crop is already there. That needs to be pulled out. Otherwise, we might have a food security crisis. So government is also thinking that they will start operating on only those industries which have immediate demand. The long-term demand creation items will come a little later. But I think there is no shortcut and there is no clear-cut answer to this. I think we'll have to go through this process to realize how this will happen. But hold on to your cashes, keep some money and emergency in hand for the future. That's for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great, sir. Thank you. बहुत ही अच्छा डिस्कशन था. Actually, when you were talking about when you went back to working, कि आपको ऑफर किया गया था, would you like to go get into accounting or what do you want to do? And you chose to get into sales. The reason you gave was because you want to feel more comfortable with yourself by meeting people. Like it will make you feel better. तो उस टाइम पे एक कोट याद आ रहा था from Game of Thrones. The quote was by a particular character named Tyrion Lannister. He says, wear your weaknesses like your armor, and nobody can use them to hurt you.
That's it.
So I guess that's perfectly said. A situation के लिए perfect, appropriate लगा मुझे. So firstly, on that note, बहुत ही अच्छा note था, very inspiring note, very inspiring story, and of course, Samar sir had nothing but praises for you. Yeah, before we started the stream. And of course, we appreciate Samar sir for connecting us with Saibal sir and actually making this happen. And of course, you being here as well. The audience members, thank you for your questions, your comments, and your insights. Mr. Sen, Aditya, and of course, most importantly, Samar sir and Saibal sir. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone. All the best. Stay safe. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Saibal sir, any closing words before we end the actual thing? Any closing words from your side?
So I'm saying that people who are much younger, who are looking for getting into this world with a job, so don't small things let you be disheartened. There is a huge future ahead of you. Plan your life. Focus on things that you love to do. Don't listen to anybody. Listen to your heart. Listen to your mind. Things that you want to do. If you continue to do that, you will be the most successful. So once I asked somebody that if somebody studies a particular subject, will he be successful? That has no demand. Just if he is number one in that subject, there will be demand. You will create demand. So if you love something, please pursue it, and please pursue it with the heart and mind. I'm sure your career will do very well.
Great, absolutely, sir. Thank you so much. और एक साइबल सर का एक कोटेशन से एंड करूँगा, लाइफ हैज़ नो रिवाइंड बटन.
Yeah.
With that being said, thank you so much for everyone tuning in. Stay indoors, wash your hands, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. on Facebook. Follow and like our page and turn on post notifications to get notified when we do go live. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.